if you guys have noticed this, but Donald Trump clearly has no interest in doing the job of president. Like, he likes the perks of the job, like the free house and the immunity from prosecution, but he doesn't seem to know or care what his own administration is doing on a daily basis. He's more interested in pursuing his true passion, interior design.
The president has taken great interest in renovating the White House, and the latest renovation is the East Wing. He's talking about constructing, beginning in September, a 90,000 square foot ballroom.
It is the new State Ballroom, and you can see from the renderings here from the White House, is expected to be about 90,000 square feet, much in the president's style, gold and crystal chandeliers, gilded Corinthian columns, coffered ceiling with gold inlays as well.
They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150 years, but there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. In the first term, I said, you know, if I get another shot at this, I'm going to do a ballroom. I was pretty busy in the first because I was running the country.
What? Then what are you doing this time? Why are you describing the duties of your current job in the past tense? In the first term, I was busy running the country, but now I'm fully checked out, and I'm like a high school senior who already got into college. I'm falling asleep in class and saving up my energy to plan this incredible prom. Also, for senior prank, you guessed it, I went on the roof. Also, it's a 4-year term, and you're not even through the first year. This is how entitled Trump is. He's a checked-out freshman. But I have to go back to this.
They've wanted a ballroom at the White House for more than 150 years, but there's never been a president that was good at ballrooms.
Well, you know, we've never had a president who's good at ballrooms because we don't need a president who's good at ballrooms. If we wanted a ballroom, we could just hire someone to build one. You know, if I heard the White House had mice, I wouldn't vote for a president who was good at extermination or, you know, a cat. I just assume as president, you could get someone in there and do it for you. Also, I'm not an architect, but it seems to me like ballroom's like the easiest room, just has to be like big and empty. If you want to impress me, design an escape room or, you know, one of those rooms that makes you look big and your friend look tiny. Look, I'm no history expert, but I don't remember it ever being a problem that our presidents weren't good at ballrooms. You know, I watched a ton of those Ken Burns documentaries, but I don't remember Ulysses S. Grant ever sending a letter to his wife that said, "Dearest Julia, now that I've won the Civil War, I aspire to complete my greatest achievement yet, building a ballroom. Yet I feel as though it is a task beyond my meager skills. How high should the ceilings be? What is the best kind of wood to dance on? These are the questions that vex me. I fear I will not be remembered as the president who oversaw Reconstruction, but rather as Ulysses S. Grant. The S stands for sucks at ballrooms." But there's one more. There's one more part of that clip that I want to revisit.
In the first term, I said, you know, if I get another shot at this, I'm going to do a ballroom.
That's what you took away from your first term. You left the country in ruins. There was a pandemic, a crime wave, a recession. You didn't want to fix any of that. You're like a drunk driver who walks away from a car crash thinking, you know, if I ever get a chance to drive a car again, I'm going to get a bumper sticker that says, "My other ride is your mom." I swear to God. So inflation's actually getting worse, thanks in large part to Trump's tariffs, but he declared it fixed and moved on to a topic that, much like his beloved bacon, is closer to his heart.
We are going to make and build a ballroom, which they've wanted for probably 100 years at the White House.
Yeah, we start pretty soon. We have a beautiful ballroom.
I'm going to build a ballroom, beautiful ballroom for the White House. There's never been a president that was good at ballrooms. I'm really good. I've never seen a crowd like this. I think we need a ballroom.
They've just started construction of the new ballroom. They've wanted a ballroom, and now they're going to finally have it. And it's going to knock your socks off.
That's a knockout panel, and that goes right into the ballroom. It's going to be one of the most beautiful ballrooms anywhere in the world. The ballroom is under construction. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. This is a plan. If it's got tables, right now we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people.
Oh my God, well, if it has tables, you didn't mention the tables before. If you had talked about tables on the campaign trail instead of groceries, I'm sure you would have won every state and Guam. Also, tables is such a great word. Did you start that one the way you started groceries? And Here, this whole time, I've been calling them wood boards on stick legs. Trump is so obsessed with this ballroom, he brings it up every chance he gets. He loves everything about it, even the noise.
We're building a world-class ballroom. You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound. Other people don't like it. I love it.
That's how you know Donald Trump was never a real New Yorker. Real New Yorkers hate the sound of construction. What else does he love about New York that everybody else hates? I love the sound of construction, the guy who takes a dump on the subway, and the New York Jets offense. That's my New York. Donald Trump is the only New Yorker who'd lift up his window and yell, "Hey, keep that noise up. I love the sound of construction." And the rest of us hate it. I'd rather hear my neighbor's trumpet practice through the wall at 3 a.m. than the sound of a jackhammer and a bunch of guys yelling, "Hey, Tony, where's the cement? Hey, which Tony you talking to? That Tony. Hey, we're all named Tony." By the way, my neighbor is great at the trumpet. That's where we got the sound effect from earlier. That is not recorded. He's playing live through the wall. Isn't that right, Mickey? Love that guy. Now, I do wish he could have sex a little quieter. One thing I've learned from living next door to Mickey, trumpeters do very well with the ladies. Now, it would be bad enough if Trump's biggest priority was building a gilded vanity project for himself, but it's so much worse because to do it, he's tearing down a somewhat well-known and beloved piece of property. You may have heard of it, the White House.
This morning, sources tell ABC News the entire east wing of the White House could be demolished by this weekend, making room for President Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom. The demolition of the East Wing, which has stood for more than 120 years, shocking many on Capitol Hill. A preservation group questions the scale, saying the ballroom will dwarf the White House residence, disrupting its classical design.
That's right, he's tearing down the entire East Wing to build his stupid ballroom. I mean, look at this. This is like a sequel to Fixer Upper called Upper. And of course, Trump also lied about this project because when he first announced it, he promised us no demolition would be required.
It won't interfere with the current building. It'll be near it, but not touching it.
It'll be near it, but not touching it. So he basically promised to treat it like his marriage. Thank you, Mickey. Right on cue, Mickey. Trump explained yesterday that it wasn't his idea to change the plans. It came from unnamed architects.
Many people were surprised that the entire East Wing is being demolished because you had said initially that the ballroom would just touch or would not.
Well,
touch
certain
it.
areas
What
are being
happened?
certain areas are being left. We determined that after really a tremendous amount of study with some of the best architects in the world.
Oh yeah, who was the architect you talked to? Godzilla? And it's important to note, no one asked for this. In fact, officials are begging Trump to stop.
In a new letter to the Trump administration, the National Trust for Historic Preservation wrote that the addition will overwhelm the White House itself and urged officials to pause the demolition until the plans have been reviewed by the National Capital Planning Commission, which approves plans for federal buildings.
One, I couldn't agree more with the National Trust for Historic Preservation. And two, good luck with your letter. You know, we're very excited about the ballroom. Oh, excuse me, mail's here. Dear Mr. Trump, da-da-da, overwhelm the building, da-da-da, pause the demolition. Oh, dear God, someone get Godzilla on the phone. We're about to make a terrible mistake. Now, I'm sure you can imagine that if any other president did something like this, all hell would break loose. But on cue, Republicans are defending the project by comparing it to a much smaller White House edition from the past.
In 2009, President Obama upgraded the tennis court into a full basketball court.
Barack Obama built that basketball court.
Barack Obama built his basketball court.
Obama got a basketball court.
Barack Obama added a basketball court.
In 2009, outside President Obama added a basketball court.
Yeah, he did it outside. He didn't tear down the White House or any other historically significant structure. Can you imagine if Obama had put a rim at the top of the Washington Monument? I mean, sure, that'd be awesome. That would have been cool. So maybe 3 days, maybe 5 weeks. There are a lot of pesky life and death details to work out here, but Trump wants to assure you he has the attention span to figure this out.
Somebody said today, they said, oh, well, if the president wants to do it really quickly. After that, he'll get bored. I don't get bored. There's nothing boring about this. Do you agree with that, Pete? I don't think there's anything, Mr. General. I think there's nothing boring about it. Somebody actually said from the media, I think he'll get bored after about a week or two. No, we don't get bored. I never get bored. If I got bored, I wouldn't be standing here right now, I guarantee you that.
And for once, I agree, you're not going to get bored with Iran. I mean, what would that even look like? I mean, I guess if you were bored, you'd just start talking about drapes and ballrooms and instead of the war you just started. But even I don't think you'd do that. What? Really? Oh, me.
We're adding on to the building a little bit. We're improving the building. See that nice drape? When that comes down right now, you see a very, very deep hole. But in about a year and a half from now, you're going to see a very, very beautiful building. And there's your entrance to it right there. In fact, it looks so nice, I think I'll save money on the doors because it can't get more beautiful than that. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold, but I think we can save a lot of money. I just saved curtains. But, and it'll be spectacular. It'll be the most beautiful ballroom. I believe it because I built many a ballroom. I believe it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world. And when you hear all that hammering out there, you know why the First Lady is not thrilled exactly. She said, will the pile drivers ever stop? You know, they go from 6 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening. Can you imagine?
Literally, bombs are falling all over the Middle East, and he's complaining about construction sounds. But for anyone who's already worrying about the cost of another war, did you factor in the money he's saving on curtains? The door money? Now the question is, what do we do about the rising tide of political violence in America? It's unacceptable and has no place in a functioning democracy. Mr. President, can you give us any guidance, any leadership? What's one thing we can do?
Donald Trump is renewing his push for a White House ballroom after yesterday's shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Posting on social media, quote, "This event would never have happened with the militarily top secret ballroom currently under construction at the White House."
As you know, we're building a big, beautiful, very, very secure ballroom in every way with massive bulletproof glass. It's almost 4 inches thick. It's pretty amazing stuff.
It's actually a larger room, and it's much more secure. It's drone-proof, it's bulletproof glass. We need the ballroom. And that ballroom is being built on the safest piece of property in this country, probably one of the safest pieces of land in the world.
This is the first I'm hearing that it's a safe ballroom. All I've ever heard is how it's going to be big and beautiful, but now we're shifting to safe, and man, I get it. When you want something as badly as you want your ballroom, you do what you can. It's like when I told my wife I was building a panic room, and then she walked in. It was like, is this just a man cave? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, why did you tell me it was a panic room? And I told her, because I was panicked you were going to find out. Also, I have to ask, what do you mean by this?
This event would never have happened with the militarily top secret ballroom.
What do you mean it's top secret? You talk about it all the time. That's the opposite of top secret. You've literally held up poster boards with designs for the ballroom you claim is top secret. This is militarily top secret in the same way a stealth bomber would be if it was pulling a banner that read invisible plane. This is how I know aliens aren't real, because if they were, Trump would not only talk about it nonstop, he would have them in his cabinet. Say hello to Gorlak, Space King of the Republic of Neptune, and your new Secretary of Labor. Also, I have to ask about this part of the president's post.
I just want to flag at Truth Social that just came from President Trump. He said, what happened last night's exactly the reason that our great military, Secret Service, law enforcement, and for different reasons, every president for the last 150 years have been demanding that a large, safe, and secure ballroom be built on the grounds of the White House. The ridiculous ballroom lawsuit brought by a woman walking her dog who has absolutely no standing to bring a suit must be dropped immediately.
What does he mean by a woman walking her dog? Well, they're a nonprofit called the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and they sued because Trump didn't get congressional approval. And in all the hubbub about whether we need a ballroom or don't need a ballroom, let's not forget that if he just followed the law, he might get the thing. The guy came from New York real estate, and he thought he could build a ballroom without the permits? I'm on year 3 of trying to get my co-op board to approve my new doormat. It's a pillow that I can sleep on when my wife locks me out after I day drink with pop stars half my age. Charles saved his best line for Trump's obsession with building a White House ballroom, which involves demolishing the East Wing. The king referenced the War of 1812 when British forces burned down the White House.
I cannot help noticing the readjustments to the East Wing, Mr. President. Following your visit to Windsor Castle last year. And I'm sorry to say that we British, of course, made our own small attempt at real estate redevelopment of the White House in 1814.
Oh, Charles, your punchlines are like sex with Melania. I don't get it. But the timing of Charles's ballroom jab must be especially wounding for Trump, given that the entire Republican Party is now falling in lockstep behind Trump's ballroom demand after the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
A lot of senators and representatives are now saying this is why we need to get the ballroom back up and running.
We got to build that ballroom as soon as possible.
The ballroom will be a solution for this.
Being more prepared means having a facility like this ballroom.
This is one of the reasons why the president has been pushing to build this ballroom at the White House.
The president is right about this, having the ballroom on the White House grounds.
A ballroom is imperative.
The American people elected no. You forget that the American people elected Donald Trump to do three things: build a golden ballroom, put his face on passports, and get on by a royal horse. You remember now. How is this their biggest priority? Gas is at its highest point since the Iran war started, and a majority of Americans say their financial situation is getting worse, which is the highest ever in polling. And you think the thing that's going to solve our problems is a golden ballroom that no one else can use? The only way any of us will ever see the inside of that ballroom is if we find a Trump passport with like a golden ticket inside, and he gives you a tour like he's Willy Wonka. And this is the beehive. This is where we make the delicious honey for our chocolate bar. You want to meet the Oompa Loompas? Marco, JD, come out and sing. But at the very least, this dumb vanity project was supposed to be funded by private donations, not taxpayers. Well, you'll never guess what happened this week. Republicans changed their tune and said we should pay for the ballroom that none of us asked for.
A group of Senate Republicans is pushing to fund the construction of President Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom using taxpayer money. The effort's being led by Senator and close Trump ally Lindsey Graham.
We're going to introduce legislation that would authorize $400 million to be spent to secure to build the presidential ballroom. Underneath, there will be a lot of military stuff. There will be a Secret Service annex. The estimate is $332 million. We're going to do $400 million because I think it's probably going to take more. Private donations can be used, but I think they should be used for buying China and stuff like that.
They can use donations to buy China because I ain't giving them mine. I need my China for my dinner parties, even though my Meemaw keeps telling me no one's ever gonna come to my parties. Maybe they'd come if you'd stay in your room. Instead of traipsing around the dinner table with your nightgown half open. Asking everybody if you want to open it up to see your military stuff. The old dust bucket. We all know what Trump really cares about. The only thing he cares about is his ballroom, which he is now claiming is under budget, even though the budget doubled.
We have a ballroom that's under budget. It's going up right here. I've doubled the size of it because we obviously need that. And we're right now on budget, under budget, and ahead of schedule. I doubled the size of it, you dumb person. It's double the size. You are not a smart person.
You just said it was under budget. If the price doubled, that's not under budget. That's like saying, I'm sticking to my calorie goal intake, only 1 burger a day. You doubled your calorie intake. That's because I ate 2 burgers. You dumb person. Also, if you're gonna insult someone, just say dummy. Why do you talk so weird? You're like a high school bully who can't think of a comeback. Hey, look, Donald tripped and split his pants. Oh yeah? Well, you're a not cool guy.